So, for those people that aren't familiar with the story of Jersey Boys or the stage performance, can you just tell us what the story is about and let us know what your character, who your character is that you're playing? And I'll start with you.
My name is John Lloyd Young, and I play Frankie Valli.
And I'm Erich Bergen. I play Bob Gaudio.
I'm Michael Lomenda, and I play Nick Massey.
And I'm Vincent Piazza, and I play Tommy DeVito.
Okay, so John Lloyd, can you tell us about the story of Jersey
Sure.
Boys?
The story of Jersey Boys is about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. Their early beginnings before they were the band. They're finding their songwriter Bob Gaudio, scraping their way up from the streets of New Jersey to become one of the greatest sensations in rock history.
Now, how did you all become involved in the project? And I'll start with you, Erich.
I first became involved at the ripe old age of 20 years old when I was cast in the first national tour of the stage play of Jersey Boys, and we headed across the country in San Francisco and Los Angeles and all over the West Coast, and then I did the show in Las Vegas for about 2 years, and hadn't touched the show for like 3 or 4 years when I got the call to come and audition for Clint Eastwood's version, and somehow they chose me to do the movie.
I played Frankie in the original Broadway production of Jersey Boys way back in the beginning. For the first 2 years of that production, and in the years following that, it proliferated all over the English-speaking world to become the international hit that it is now. And recently, they had invited me back to the Broadway production to reprise my role on stage at precisely the same time that Clint Eastwood became attached to the movie project, and Mr. Eastwood saw me perform on stage. I met him briefly after the show. We said our hellos and shared our mutual admiration, and the next time I met him was on the set of his movie.
My first introduction to Jersey Boys was seeing this gentleman on the Tony Awards from the comfort of my living room, and I said, what is that show and how can I be in it? And eventually it came through Toronto and was looking for an original Toronto company, which I was part of, lucky to be part of, and then got invited to be part of the first national tour, closing it, which you opened, which was kind of interesting.
Sort of bookend of the tour.
Yeah, and then towards the end of that run, I met Mr. Eastwood at one of our matinee performances, and he had sort of showed up in the lobby unannounced. And we met afterward, and then a couple weeks later I got a call for a New York audition. I flew down to New York, did the audition, and then about a month later I got the call, and the movie happened from that point on. And it was a very quick turnaround, but it was exciting, incredible.
And where did they find you?
Yes.
Well, after optioning the life rights from Mr. Valli, thinking of the screenplay and hiring Rick Ellis and Marshall Brickman to write it, I decided to cast myself in the no, I'm the newcomer to the group, and I guess it was a very nerve-wracking experience because I was brought on, I guess, as this unstable element in the group, which Tommy DeVito pretty much served. So I went through the casting process that way and was lucky enough to get on board.
Fantastic. Now, that being said, there's the three of you that had a history with the show, and then there's Vincent, you. So how did that all work together, and were there any obstacles to overcome with you not being a part of the, having the history with the story itself? How did that work out when you all got
The
together?
obstacles that Vincent had are the thing that actually made this movie what it is, because the three of us, having come from the show, we were so used to doing it one way. The stage show has a different director, and it's its own piece. And the danger with bringing in all four of us having done the show would have been that we just did the exact same thing, especially because the three of us are used to doing the show, which is very much, you have to say exactly what's on the page every single night and give the same performance. That's what you do in the theater. But having Vincent come in, more familiar with the film world, where you do have a little bit more free reign, and especially Mr. Eastwood encouraging us to improv a little bit, Vincent was sort of our guide in adapting what we do to the screen.
Yeah, it's very kind to say it that way, but I mean, the reality of it is, you guys made the musical, or was such a key part of making the musical such a success that it was made into a movie. And then it was just inhabiting new space, and I felt like coming in at that time with fresh eyes, maybe some more objectivity outside of the world, and entering with them. It was just kind of I felt like I was part of some grand experiment, and it was a lot of fun.
He was a wild card for us that, he shook it up for us, which is great because You know, as actors, you want your screen performance to be spontaneous and real, and because Vincent didn't come into the cast with a preconceived notion of how Jersey Boys needed to be played, we had to act and react to these new, unfamiliar things that he was bringing us from his own instincts about this character, and I think it just revitalized our stage performances and made them alive on screen. Felt almost like it was the first time we were doing it.
Yeah, just imagine everyone on stage and a guy that doesn't know their lines.
Well, that was the thing. Is
It's
that
like, what is he gonna do next?
Right. I mean, he encouraged us, you know, he got us to open up and say things that weren't on the script and really just play around. And then in turn, in the dance studio, all three of us would grab his hips and try to twist them at the same time as the music was going. And it was really like this collaborative effort to make sure that we were all, you know, all on the same page.
You know, what's really funny is that we'd spend, like, for example, there's a few scenes we were improvising the whole day on a scene, and then finally in the end, when Joel Cox and Gary Roach and the editors and Clint Eastwood put the scene together, that ultimately on screen, some of the scenes are exactly as they're written in the stage play. However, because we were improvising all day around that scene, it was so alive and vital that the verbatim scene from the stage to the screen suddenly was so real and seemed like it was happening for the first time.
You can dance now.
Dance.
I can dance. I can sing.
He described like the period dirty dancing. Some weird girl grabbing my hips and
Well, it was a little
looking in the
romantic at
mirror
times,
and
you know.
feeling liberated. So we can dance like men, walk like men.
That's right.
Fantastic.